So today, welcome to Unmask Fire Chats. Today I have the beautiful lady Joan Durbin. I met Joan in a sister circle. I'm a part of a couple of sister circles. Joan just has such a beautiful spirit. She is an author, a writer, a mom, a grandmom, and she's a retired hospice nurse. So before we jump in, Joan, who is Joan beneath the mask without the titles? Who are you?
Oh, wow. Our identity is always so important to us, huh? Um, I think the longer I spend on this planet, I come to know that I'm more of a spiritual person. Um, you've heard that saying, a spiritual being having a human experience. And I'm highly aware of that at times, and other times I totally forget. But I think one question I try to ask, I forget that too sometimes, but every day I try to ask, who do I want to be today? I want to be kind and I want to be free and open and real and forget about um, being the nurse or having to know everything and responsibility so much. So I'm growing and I'm learning, and I think I will every day get to know me, more every
Mm.
day.
And I love that you say that because I feel like if each of us on this planet really dedicate our life to getting to know us and really do
Mm,
that inner work and really get to those deep traumas, the world would be a better place. But a lot of us run away from that, and a lot of us it's hard to do your inner work, right?
it is.
So imagine if we all just commit to that and then we can move forward and live as our authentic self. So I love that you said you're on a journey to be the real you, and you're still
Yes,
learning how to do that. I love
yes.
that.
Ah, thank you. And when I was younger, I'm 68 years young now. When I was younger, in my 20s and my 30s, and maybe even my 40s, Lucia, I really, I just let too much get into the way of trying to,
Mm,
you know, do some of that healing work. I think we
mm-hmm.
all have to do that. We often carry some wounds. And my tongue cancer, which was such a surprise, I had been so healthy all my life.
Wow.
Um, it really It really helped me do tremendous healing work in so many ways.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess that's a good thing, huh? Beautiful.
It is, and sometimes these traumatic life experiences jolt us into doing our work and
Hmm.
really realizing what's important in life, right?
Right.
The things we thought were important probably is not important when you get
That's right.
diagnosed with, you know what I mean?
That's
So
right.
yeah, sometimes, God, the universe, whatever you believe in,
Yeah.
we get the cards we're dealt with. But I love how you just took that with grace and went within, you know.
Hmm.
You didn't let it get you, off your game with your healing journey. You went within and
Hmm.
you did what you had to do to deal with it. And that's just like so brave and courageous of you.
Well, thank you. It really rocks my world. I couldn't believe it when I was told my pathologist doctor, he called me personally and said, "You have stage 3 cancer, tongue cancer, Joan." And I couldn't
Wow.
believe it.
Yeah.
And, one of the first things you think is, am I going to die? And
Mhm.
then,
Of
and,
course.
and then I ended up with a surgeon in surgery 6 days later. And I talk about that in my book, Can You Understand Me? Because they
Mhm.
actually, I had surgery on my tongue and also they have it on your neck because they check lymph nodes. And I
Wow.
wondered, am I going to be able to talk? Can I laugh? Can I sing? And it was quite the journey. I had by that time become very spiritually active. I had been taking prayer walks twice a day for like 34 years. So my tongue
Mm.
cancer was about 3 years ago. And so
Okay.
I was able to use that experience I have, to take my prayer life and to I did a visioning every morning. Dr. Michael Beckwith, he has this visioning about your dreams or what you want in your life. Every morning for probably 3 months, I listened to that about 30 minutes, all about,
I love
you know,
that.
who do you want to be? How do you have to
Mhm.
change to do that? And of course, mine was to be healthy and to stay alive and to
Mhm.
make the right choices for my own plan of care. So, digging in deep, digging in deep and really
Yeah.
going after what I wanted the outcome to be. It
Mhm.
helped me a lot with the uncertainty, put it that way. The
I love that.
uncertainty. And I didn't know that as a nurse with here. I learned so much. As a nurse, I thought I knew a little bit about cancer, but I knew
Mhm.
nothing. And and as a patient, I knew nothing. The courage that we all have when we go under these chronic illnesses, it amazes me,
Mm.
and how we keep smiling, and we all, I think, are doing the best we can.
Wow. So you, as you said, you're a retired hospice nurse, someone who entire career was built around sitting with other people's dying, right?
That's
So
God.
what happened inside you when you became the patient? Did Joan the nurse show up or did someone else show up?
Well, Joan the nurse showed up at first. I was very I had my own opinions about the treatment I wanted. I was highly against radiation, and my surgeon and my team, they taught me on a very medical level, which I was fortunate to have that. I understand the language. And they helped me
Mhm.
understand that radiation would be the best for this tongue cancer to never come back. So when I chose to do that, I was down at radiation for 6 weeks, 5 days a week. And I had
Mm.
the gown on like everybody else. But I remember standing, and I rarely sat. I would stand in the room, but we were allowed to walk the halls. And I remember standing there thinking, this is not right. I am supposed to be the nurse here. I'm not the patient.
Exactly.
Yeah, and but then I saw other people, suffering. We can suffer. And other people, they had some diagnosis with cancer that I was like, oh my gosh, how are you doing that? And their courage and their smiles and their perseverance really helped me. And I'm hoping that eventually my courage helped others. So later,
Which is why you wrote the book.
it's
Yeah.
why I wrote the book to help people in all kinds of
Mhm.
challenges of life, how we do
Yeah.
need each other, and the
Mhm.
power of prayer. The power of prayer and praying for others is highly effective. Yeah.
I love that. I love that you've been on these prayer work walks for 20 something 30 years and
Hmm.
see how that helped you with your healing journey when you were
Yeah.
hit with an illness. I mean, I can imagine how scary it was,
Yeah.
but when you told this story to me when we were just on a phone call, I was inspired. I was just
Oh,
inspired by your energy. I was inspired by your heart and just how you took it on as a champ and you handled it. You got, you went through it, but just how you are so, how can I say, passionate about helping other people and telling your
um,
story.
oh,
And just the way you touch people with your words and your heart and your
well, thank
softness.
you.
I love that about you.
Thank you. Yes, the biggest platform for my book, Can You Understand Me? Um,
Mhm.
is the power I learned, the power of praying for others. And I had to learn a few years ago. On my prayer walks, I had been praying for others for decades, but it was only
Wow.
maybe 10 or 15 years ago that I learned, not to pray what I call in a condescending way. Like I don't know what's best for
Mm.
everybody else. I don't know what's best for me sometimes.
Mhm.
So I don't, pray like, oh, I hope they do this and I hope they stop that behavior. I don't do that type. I just lift that person up for their highest good. And that way I feel like I'm actually lifting them up. And then
Right.
that would get my mind off myself and
Mm.
while that radiation was going on, I did fantastic. It
Wow.
was unbelievable. It became that big machine would come all around me, and but once they bolted me down, because
Mhm.
you with head or neck cancer, you have to be bolted down to the table. And a lot of
Wow.
people need anti-anxiety medicine, which is good. Medicine can be your friend. But
Mhm.
because I chose to pray for others, I had a job to do. So I did
Right.
not need anti-anxiety. And they would bolt me down and put that little like pacifier in your mouth. You have to be, of course, you can't move. But
Right.
then I had a calendar, and people I had, my family and my coworkers had called a lot of people and asked them if they would pray for me while I was praying for them on the radiation table.
Mhm.
It was wonderful. I had maybe 8 to 10 people a day that I had to remember their
Wow.
names, and as I laid there, I would lift them up for their highest good, and
I love it.
it really worked. It really worked. It's
I
quite
love that.
amazing, really. I was talk about inspiration. I was inspired to do that. I'm not sure where that came from, but I was inspired to do that.
I know, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So, tongue cancer is uniquely cruel for a communicator and a caregiver like yourself. It threatens the very instrument you use to comfort people. Did losing or nearly losing your voice change what you believe you are worth?
It scared me. Um,
Mm.
and I tell you, there was something about I had to go into silence for about a week, maybe a little more. I could only write on a piece of paper, what I was thinking or what I needed,
Mhm.
and the silence I learned. There was a lot of grace in the silence. There's a lot of healing in the silence. I I could talk a little bit, like even the day after my surgeon said, "Can you talk to me?" And I wrote down, and is it okay for me to try because I wasn't sure. And he said,
Right.
yes. So I can make little sounds. And so
Okay.
I just knew then I'm going to be able to do this. And I first had
Mhm.
speech therapy because, we all love to, if you can't talk,
I
that was
know.
scary. But being in the silence was very helpful for me. And also, I played music quite a bit.
Hmm.
And I
Okay.
learned to just listen more,
Mm.
you know? So
And
that
I
was.
always say a lot of us it's so hard for us to just listen and
Mhm.
not listen just to react or to say something back to but to truly listen and ingest what the other people is really saying,
Right.
so we can have a real conversation. So I love that you went within to, I'm gonna listen to music, I'm gonna
Mhm.
write, I'm a journal, just finding other
Yes.
ways to communicate and to still be in community with other people, your friends, your family, your coworkers.
Mhm.
Like what was that process to like really just determine I still have to live, I still have to, be a part of the world. What was that process like for you to figure out how can I still show up as Joan and still be confident and
Mm,
still feel like I'm a part of the community?
yes. It took a little time um, because, of course, I did have some pain, some physical pain.
Mhm.
And I, being a nurse, I was a very good advocate for myself. But also,
Mm.
I was a little humble because I couldn't always speak up literally for myself. And so I
Mhm.
had to learn to rely on my family and friends in my community. I was home about 4 months before I returned back to work. And almost every day, somebody was here in my house, our tree house. Somebody was with me.
Wow.
Almost every day, Latia. And, that's
Wow.
far asking for help. But I
I
learned,
know.
it was
Mhm.
better for me. People wanted to help me. They
Oh,
wanted
that's
to
good.
make me better.
Mhm.
And so I was very filled with gratitude to have such a community, such family and friends.
Mhm.
Yeah, it takes a
And you
village.
learn how to, yeah, and
Mhm.
you learn how to receive. because I'm the same way.
Mhm.
It's hard for me to ask for help. It's hard for me to ask, people to do something for me because I'm very independent.
Right.
But when you're in need, you have to lean on other people.
Usually.
So I'm sure, that help you really get into the state of receiving and just letting people show up for you how they're going to show up for you.
Hmm. You're very correct. And I think being a woman, most of us are such caregivers that
Mhm.
we're used to doing the caregiving, the fixing.
Mhm. Yep,
So I understand what you're saying. It is hard to. There's an important lesson to learn to receive.
it is. I agree. I totally agree. What do you think are possible reasons you became diagnosed with stage 3 tongue cancer? I think when we chatted on the phone, you said you
Mm-hmm.
never smoked. Like
No,
you just said, you were healthy.
yeah.
What are the chances? But why do you think, what are the reasons do you think you became diagnosed with
Mm.
stage 3 tongue cancer?
I I think a couple of things. As a child, I know my parents did the best that they could with the tools they
Mhm.
had. But as a child, I was very repressed, more to be seen and not heard. And I
Mm.
felt like my thoughts or my opinions or what I had to say was not really that important. And I grew up like that, even as, oh gosh, as an adult, a younger adult, middle aged adult, I still carry that with me. That
Wow.
my verbal thoughts were really not that important. And I do think that that repression and again that healing those wounds, and maybe not dealing with that, I
Mhm.
think that was part of me getting tongue cancer. The other part, the spiritual side of me, I honestly believe it's what I call a soul contract. Um, my soul knew, it's knew what we were doing. I did not, but my soul did. And
Mhm.
I have grown so much through that time. And I think that anybody that comes across really challenging times and comes out on the other side, you, Latia, I'm sure you've had your own challenge. Everybody
Oh,
does.
absolutely.
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 My old friend used to say, everyone goes through the tumbler, Joan. And we
Mhm.
do. And when you come out on the other side and you're whole and you've been healing and the wounds are healing, there's something quite beautiful about it.
Yeah.
Something life is for me, it's for all of us. Life is on my side,
Mhm.
and I am in love with life, and life is in love with me. And I know
Mhm.
that more than ever now.
And I think you hit it on a nose when you dig deep into your childhood and how you said your
Mm-hmm.
voice was repressed.
Mm-hmm.
I was a vocal child, but that resonates with me because when I went through my divorce 5 years ago and I signed up with an energy healer, and she said, you're having some issues with your thyroid. And it's because you're not speaking up. You're not sharing how you really feel. You're not telling the people in your circle your deepest thoughts, and
Yes,
you're repressing it. You're not doing the work with your mother and your father to get right. So I do think when we repress our voice and when we really repress our inner self, it's gonna show up on a physical plane,
yes,
and that's what happens. So I think you are spot on
yeah,
for figuring out why you think you got diagnosed
yes,
and just how you put those pieces together and went all the way back and how you even enter into adult
yes,
life and you are still, trying that
absolutely.
repressive voice. But I know you're not trying that now, are you?
No, no, never. And I'm watchful what I say. I try to
Of
be
course.
kind, but
Yeah, of course.
and I'm more mindful of what
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking, what comes out of my mouth. But no, no one will ever let. I would never.
I
Queen
know.
Joan the Beautiful would never allow that.
I know.
Yeah, I don't want anybody. I want everybody to be able to. graciously share their thoughts.
I think that's so important because when we hold in our inner thoughts, or you're just gonna spaz at some point. You need to be intimate with other people. You need to have
Yes,
those conversations. You need to learn how to release what's inside somewhere.
that's
You're holding
right.
on anger, stress, whether it's exercising, whether it's therapy. You need to find your own way on how to
Absolutely.
release those inner thoughts. It's
You
important.
you are a wise, beautiful lady. I agree with you.
Thanks, Joe.
Yeah, you are.
For being with, people like you, and give a shout out to Tuck. And, I have a lot of elders in my life. I'm just so grateful to be in a space with you all. And so I can just listen and get some of that wisdom. Y'all
Yes.
been through some stuff, and I want to learn from y'all, and I want to hear your stories and see how we can connect. So I love being in community with y'all. I do.
Oh, that's
I
awesome.
do.
You are so real, Lucia. I love you.
That's all I know how to be. I get chastised sometimes for being real, in my
No.
work, my full-time job, but I'm gonna show up as I am. Like,
Yes.
why can't I show up as my true authentic self, and other people can, and it's just fine. It's
I,
normal.
yes.
So,
Good
but I've
girl.
worked on that the past, I say 5, 6 years, to be comfortable with doing that. And sometimes you have to deal with the consequences, from showing up as your true authentic self. But I'm willing to accept that because my purpose is to always be in alignment in my personal life and in my professional life. So
Very good.
thank you for that. Yeah. So you said the biggest transformation you want to share is that praying for others always benefits you, right?
That's right.
That's a profound thing to discover in the middle of your own suffering. Can you take us to a moment that became real for you? Not the idea of it, but the actual experience.
About praying for others.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yes.
Or just a moment when you were going through your diagnosis or anything in life. We can
Hmm.
touch on anything you want in your life, but take us to a moment that became real, and not the idea of what became real, but take us to like that actual experience.
Mm. Well, I remember, I had definitely become committed to this calendar that I had. For I was praying for others, they were praying for me. They knew it was 10:45 Monday through Friday.
Hmm.
So when I was laying on that radiation table, the radiation itself is only a couple of minutes, maybe not quite that long.
Oh
But I
wow.
had a few people to lift up, and they would slide me back. I would hear that, you slide back, and I immediately would just get in that mode of lifting these people up. And before I knew it, they were sliding me forward. And I would be thinking, wait, I'm not done. I've got more people here. And I think that's when it really became real for me.
Mm.
That and when a technician asked me, she said, "What are you doing?" She said, "You are so calm." I said, "I'm praying for other people, and they're praying for me." And
Hmm.
she just kind of looked at me, but it was very real for me. I think I could almost feel the energy, you know? Maybe
Wow.
that's my imagination, but maybe not.
No, I think
So,
it's real. Hmm.
yeah.
Wow. And I can imagine like all of the thoughts that were going through your head while you were on a radiation table.
Mm,
Was it just about praying for others, or did you let some negative thoughts creep in where
mm,
praying for others kind of jolted you out of those
yeah.
negative, thoughts?
Especially at first, because
Mm.
in my book I talk about my superhero cape. They have this mesh-like thing that they have to fit it to your forearm from your head to past your shoulders, and
Mhm.
it's soft. It's almost like a soft Play-Doh. Kind of think of a soft Play-Doh, but it's mesh, and it's warm, and they fit it to your face, and then they bolt you down. And when that first happened, and then they had this like popsicle pacifier thing you have to put in your mouth. And I was like, where is the back door? I want out of here and I want out of here now.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you can't move and
Like at all. You can't
you
move
can't
no
move at
parts of your
all. I mean, you
body?
can move your
Oh
legs,
wow.
but you're not going anywhere. You could not move your head to
Wow.
your shoulder. And at first, I had to breathe. I had to breathe through
Mhm.
that. And then once I could accept that, I could hear them bolting me down. All your senses are highly aware. And then after, I could accept that. But the fear of what the radiation would do to my tongue or my neck,
Yeah.
that stayed with me for a few weeks. But again, I was doing my meditations in the morning. I was talking
Mhm.
to my doctor and my team. That's another thing
Good.
I highly recommend for people. If you're going through some type of health crisis, talk to your doctor or your nurse practitioner or your nurse.
Mhm.
Have intelligent questions ready. You want to know if you're taking medicine, and why you're taking
Right.
it, or you want to know why am I going to go through this diagnostic test, or why am I going to have this surgery? It is
Right.
okay, to ask nurses and doctors, nurse
Mm.
practitioners, ask a few questions. They are on your team. And actually,
Mm.
they work for you. You are paying the bills. So
I agree.
that's very important. And as a nurse, I think a lot of people don't, they get a little intimidated.
Mhm.
And I wish that we could understand, we're all here to help you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's important because I know culturally, in the black community, we are afraid to go to the doctors in a hospital.
Mm,
Sometimes we are mistreated. Maternal health. So we have to be on our last leg before we're going to the doctor in hospital for anything. I try to keep up with my annual checkups but I'm just not a hospital doctor medicine type of
yes.
girl. But I
Yeah.
do understand that it is important that I do exactly what you said. I ask questions, I
Very
ask
good.
why. So yeah, I will definitely talk to my nurse practitioner or doctor if I don't understand something. When you get those lab tests back, I'm asking, what does this mean?
Good. Good
you know
job.
so yeah, I've learned to become my biggest health advocate in a way.
Very good. It's so
And I also
important.
have alternative medicine. I have a holistic doctor that I'm working with. I recently just talked to a herbalist yesterday that I'm about to start working with.
Good
So I
job.
also have like a holistic team outside of Western
Very good.
medicine. Yeah.
Very good. I love holistic medicine. And I think,
Mhm.
in some ways, if we're able, that's a little bit of responsibility for us, to find out and to reach out. How can I do a more holistic plan of care?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm. I think it's important to, bring in the plants. Bring in a lot of this is what we eat. So,
Yes.
our diet's not good. We eating this processed food, sugar,
Yeah.
and I love me some sugar. I always say I'm addicted to sugar, so I have to watch that. But it's a lot of, what we're eating. Our diets are horrible.
Yes. It's
And then it
very,
shows up physically.
absolutely.
Yeah. So you are a manifesting. So I love my BG5 and human
Yeah.
design. You are a manifesting generator, aka express builder in BG5. You're known for bouncing back fast. So you're looking strong. You know how to get back up. You know how to have that energy to do what you need to do, right? And I know you learned many things as you traveled with throat cancer. What was the biggest thing you learned, though?
The biggest thing I learned.
Or the top three?
Mm. I think my tongue cancer, the biggest thing I learned was it really is all within us. We really do carry the power of what we need and the knowledge and the inspirations to know what to do. Now, I'm not saying, eh, people are never going to pass. I'm not saying that. But I
Right.
think that it is inside of us if we can learn. to, dig deep and to find out the best of me to show up, for what's going on
Mhm.
in my life. And also, I think the second thing was I have said this for decades, but love is always the answer,
I agree.
always. And to love yourself is very, very important. And
Mm.
to love other people and to appreciate yourself, appreciate other people. And my tongue cancer gave me many, many chances to do all the above.
Mhm. Mm.
I didn't come across that right away. Believe me, there were times where I was crying, I was
Of course.
mad. Oh, I could be
Yeah.
so angry at first.
And that's okay.
Yeah, it's
Those
okay.
emotions. Yeah.
We all go through these emotions,
Mhm.
but once the dust settles, and you can kind of sit down and just look at yourself and live from your heart. Live from your heart,
I
because
agree.
our brains don't always have it the answer.
Mhm. And
So,
it's funny that you say that because in BG5 payment design is something called your inner authority, aka decision making strategy. And we always coach people around making decisions from your unique decision making strategy. So, for example, when I assess your design, you have an emotional authority, which means you're not supposed to make decisions on the spot. You're
yeah,
supposed to wait at least 3 days before making, and I'm talking about big decisions. You're supposed
correct.
to wait for that emotional clarity, wait for that wave to stop. Whereas my decision making strategy is splinted. So I'm supposed to make decisions right on the spot. And if I
Oh,
miss that,
wow.
then I'm gonna make the wrong decisions. So we always tell our clients and our students in the BG5 world, the human design world, the worst way to make decisions is from your mind because you're gonna have all of this mental anxiety. You're gonna, incorporate fear. That's not contrary to popular belief. That's not how you're supposed to make decisions.
No.
We all have our individual inner authority, how we're supposed to make decisions. And when we do that, it really lessens the resistance to life. It really opens up and we feel more
Yes.
in flow and more in alignment. So I love that you touched on that when you make decisions from your brain,
Hmm.
it's a little wacky
Yeah, it
versus you
can
waiting
be.
for that emotional clarity, you know. So I'm curious if that resonates with you, or when you notice when you let that emotional wave pass and wait for clarity. Do you feel like that's when you make decisions, or do you feel like you just make decisions from your mind?
Oh no, you are spot on about me. I almost always take a prayer walk. I have to process, and sometimes that will aggravate me. But
Mhm.
really, I do need to process, and
Mhm.
then I know about how I feel. You know,
Right.
and I try
Exactly.
to be open. I try to be
Mhm.
open minded, and my body will tell me, and my heart will tell me,
Mhm.
if I am on the right track or not. So I love
Mhm.
what you're describing. I totally agree.
Yeah, and look at you using your correct decision making strategy, not even knowing it.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
but I do find a lot of people are living their design. They just don't know it. They just need a tweak, or sometimes they're dealing with challenges or shadows
Mhm.
that I can point to in their design. But a lot of people are living either a little bit of their design, most of their design. None of us are living probably all of our design. That is a
Okay.
goal of mine. But you're living part of your design by doing your prayer walks, by
Yeah.
waiting for clarity, by really thinking before you make those, crucial decisions. So good.
Well, thank you, Tia. I love you
Uh,
teaching me. I love it.
Yeah, I'm a I'm gonna talk that design when I can. So Joan, your book, your story, your prayer practice, all of it points to someone who has walked through fire, but have come out carrying something for other people. But what did you get to keep as you're walking through that fire, as you're praying for other people? And then what is yours now that wasn't yours before the cancer came?
Mm. you know, I can do anything. I
Hmm.
can do anything.
Okay. Yeah.
And I am keeping that. And confidence, and compassion for myself. I was not used
Mm-hmm.
to having to baby myself. I was not used
Mm.
to that. The I took that trip to Italy. 4 months after radiation, I went all by myself like a big girl.
I love it.
Yeah, I
Love it.
could probably
Mm-hmm.
not have done that before. But I thought,
Mm.
Joan, you've been through a lot. You can do anything, beautiful lady. And I
Absolutely.
love that feeling. Now it doesn't mean I can do it alone all the time. I don't believe that.
Right.
We need each other.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's what I carry within me the most. That and a tremendous love for life. I'm so glad to be here. I was not ready to step off the
Yeah.
planet. So, gratitude. Yeah,
Yeah.
gratitude, beautiful lady.
Gratitude is so important.
Hmm.
Gratitude, sometimes I even get into the negative self talk with
Oh,
myself, and then I had to
sure.
bring myself back to gratitude.
Me too.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's talk about your book. Tell the audience, tell me a little bit about your book, the process with writing your book.
Yeah.
And what do
Well,
you want to get the readers, or what do you want the readers to get from your book?
okay. Well, here is my book. And my prayer box, of course, was so important. So I designed the cover, and
Okay, look at you.
my dog, Red Dog, is always with me out there. Mother Nature,
Oh.
Mother Nature is very much in my book.
Mhm.
I wrote that journal while I was going through uh, the diagnosis and then the surgery and the radiation, and I wrote for about a year. And that is on
Wow.
sharingbridge.org. That is for anybody that has a chronic illness. It's a free
Hmm.
website you can vote and write on. And I fell in love with it. I had quite a few followers, and a couple of my dear friends said, "You should make this a book. It will help a lot of people, even if you don't have an
Mhm.
illness, just to learn to meet life on life's terms, the best way that you know how, and how Mother Nature always shows up for us,
Always.
and always. And I want to help people. I know people. I know as a nurse, and even non-medical stuff. We all have our challenges, and so
Mhm.
to me, getting out there and walking with Mother Nature, learning to lift other people up, to their highest good. It
Mhm.
does take your mind off yourself, and
I
I
agree.
guarantee you it will help you with any type of little challenge or tremendous challenge that you have. And it helps the whole world. We are bright lights,
Mhm.
and to shine our light and to support each other. We're all connected.
Mhm. Yeah.
So
And
yeah,
where can people find the book?
the book is on Amazon, uh,
Okay.
and it's Can You Understand Me? A hospice nurse's own journey with tongue cancer. I also have a website I blog on, allherenow.net, and you can
Okay.
find the book on my website.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So, John, we're coming to a close of our amazing fire chat conversation. Is it anything you would like to leave the listeners? Last words? Anything you would like to say to close us out?
Mm, gosh, that's a good question. Um, Mostly I think, you can do far more than you think you can. And if things get a little uncomfortable, everybody has stepped out of their comfort zone. Even as a little child, we're stepping out, we're doing more and more. And as an adult, I hope you continue to step out. Get a little bit out of your comfort zone. You won't regret it.
Mm-hmm.
Remember how beautiful you are, how strong you are, how powerful you are.
Mm-hmm.
And together, we're all in this together to help each other. So, yeah, Mindy's not sleep.
Well, Joan, I really appreciate you for joining me today. I'm sure the listeners will learn so much about your journey. I'm so inspired by your story. And I love
And
that you are continuing to tell your story, that you are continuing to tell your story, not just to release your story, but to help other people. And I
yeah,
see the passion
yeah.
around helping other people. And that's
No,
just so
thank you,
important. And the love that you give and the grace that you give and
thank you.
showing up as you. I really love that about you. And I really appreciate you for joining me.
It's been a pleasure, Lucia. Thank you for having me. You're a
Of course.
marvelous hostess. You found
Thank
your
you so
niche,
much.
beautiful lady.
I know. That's her word, y'all. Beautiful lady. It's the first time I met Joan, and she hit me with the beautiful lady. I was like, I love
Oh
that.
yeah, pass it on. We don't hear it enough, you
Yeah,
know.
I sure will. I sure will. Thanks again, Joan.
Uh,